So you've seen Tommy Robinson's documentary.
Seeing the documentary changed my perspective of him 100%, because I thought it's citizen journalism. You know, it's not slick. It's not massively high production, but it's got work. It's got graft in it. And it's, to my eyes, silenced as an attempt by a British citizen to do investigative journalism and then to make a documentary. What is wrong with that? You don't like what's inside of the document, or you can say as the institution, as the establishment, this isn't true, this isn't true, this isn't true. Okay, so let it be known publicly. Tell us what's not true. Show us the clips, timestamp what's not true. Let's have that conversation. You cannot blanket say, do not release this documentary or else we're going to put you in prison. That's completely fucking unacceptable. Totally unacceptable.
And you've recently interviewed Tommy, haven't you?
Yes, so I watched Silenced knowing that I'd be interviewing Tommy, or that it was likely at that point 2 weeks later.
Can I ask, what made you want to interview Tommy? And did you have an impression of him before you interviewed him, and has it changed since?
Yes, I thought he was a right-wing racist thug. And I still think that. No, I thought what a lot of people, well, that's not quite true. I used, one part of the story that we never got to, I ended up working for David Icke. I've done documentaries for David Icke and the Icke brothers. So, and I've done podcasts that are politically controversial, and I've put my politically controversial ideas out there. I had my Instagram account completely deleted for it during the times of the lockdowns. My main narcissism account has 2 strikes against it for medical misinformation. So alternative media is important to me. I grew up on alternative media. I was reading David Icke books when I was, 15, 16 years old. And that doesn't mean I agree with everything he says. Mm-hmm. But he has a right to put forward the idea that, the royal family are interdimensional beings. I want to live in a country where he can say that and where we can explore those ideas. He's not being put in prison for it. Alternative media is important. Citizen journalists are important. This is important. What you're doing is important. So I knew that I wasn't being told the truth about Tommy. I knew it was lazy. I knew it was a lazy throwaway thing. You said Tommy Robinson's face, you put a Union Jack behind it and a pint of lager and some white people, and therefore, and you just let people, and I'm not buying that. But I don't know what he does believe. Watch Silenced, and I was like, okay, if you're a racist, you don't say the things that he's saying in that document. He's at pains to say there were 10 other Syrian kids in that school from Syrian families, and everybody thought they were lovely. If he was racist, he wouldn't say that. He'd just say, I'll cut it out. That's stuff that I'm not a qualified therapist, but I've done coaching with people in the realms of psychoanalytic theory. That's stuff that you notice. He could have edited that out, but he says most of the Syrian families who are at that school and most of the kids, they were described as lovely. They integrated. So I'm like, I'm watching that. I'm going, okay, if he's racist, he's a very bad racist. If I ran a racism club, I would kick him out for not being racist enough. So I watched it and I was like, okay, I'm really keen to talk to this guy and I think I can see what's happened. So before I met him, I sent him voice notes and I was like, I know how you're being portrayed. I know what the common branding and the common theme is. I want to do something that just feels a little bit warmer, a little bit more open. I'm not going to learn that much more about you because I want to sit and respond naturally and spontaneously. I'm going to ask questions and you tell me what you're about. And so he did. And he surpassed my expectations. I knew I wasn't going to get what the newspapers said, for fuck's sake, but he surpassed my expectations in terms of his depth of thought, his insight, his care, his sincerity about what he's doing.
And what was your conclusion on Tommy?
In terms of the sincerity of what he's doing?
Just as a human being. I mean, anyone that hasn't met Tommy or interviewed Tommy or done proper research on Tommy, it stands to reason that they're going to believe what the mainstream media have printed for years, that he's a far-right, racist nut job. But you've actually met him and you've asked him tough questions.
Okay, well, he's fucking not far-right. He's centrist and progressive. He's not fucking racist. I tried to find something racist that he'd ever said. My mate Andrew Gold, who's a journalist who has put projects forward for the BBC, tried to find something, couldn't find anything. A thug, well, when I was in my 20s, I've told the stories in this podcast. If you dragged me off the street at age 25, I was a thug. You're a product of your trauma, of your environment. We all have responsibilities. I'm not saying it's, but absolutely at times in his life, he's been a fucking tearaway. As a guy, to me, he's like, I'm surprised he's not Scouse, to be honest with you. I mean, like when I sit and chat to him, he's got exactly the same attitude to life that me and the lads that I used to hang around with would have. You know, he's just one of the lads. He's one of the boys, but he's one of the lads, one of the boys who's ended up on this weird life path. And he'll say it. He's the first person to say it. He's like, I shouldn't be here. It shouldn't be me that's doing this, but there's nobody else to do it. So I'm going to do it is his thing. He's very courageous. He's a very, very, very courageous guy. He's much more courageous than I am.
Have you received any backlash by supporting Tommy?
Yeah, from the type of people you would expect backlash from. I don't give a fuck. And it's nowhere near what I expected. It's nowhere near what I expected. I thought that I would be called a right-wing, white, blah, 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 blah,
supremacist.
Blah, blah. Supremacist, you know, and all of that. Very little of that. Massive amounts of support. And then a few bleeps and murmurs from some brainwashed fucking zombies who, even the way they write, I haven't even replied to what they've written to. I'm like, you are so inside the matrix. You are so fucking brainwashed. I can't tweet back to you something that's going to wake you up. I'm like, you'll just see it the way you're going to see it. They've already decided he's a right-wing racist thug because the television told them. And you say, well, show me something that's racist. I don't need to. I just know he is. Well, that to me sounds like a fucking religious belief. So you saying you religiously on faith believe that Tommy Robinson is tainted by the devil? Yes, I do. Okay, well, you're a true believer then, I guess. Good for you.
This was my issue with people that would attack Tommy. And we're talking years ago now. So I've done exactly what you done. I thought a lot of people are calling him racist. Okay, well, let me see what he's done that's racist. I tried my hardest to find something that would prove that narrative. I couldn't find, and I've said to Tommy on camera, I said, I tried my hardest to find something that you said or done that was racist.
He's a terrible racist. He has friends from all ethnicities. Kick him out of the racism club. He thinks women of different ethnicities are hot. Kick him out of the racism club. In what sense? In what meaningful sense? As a guy who's lived the life he has and keeps the connections he has and says the words he's saying, in what meaningful sense is he racist? I mean, it's utter fucking gibberish.
Would you say Tommy was kind? Now you know him better.
Yeah, he's kind. Fucking right, he's kind. Yeah, he loves people. He's carrying a lot. He's got demons inside of him. I recognise it because I've got them inside of me. He's got PTSD. I know because I've got PTSD. The stuff that he's struggling with. But he loves life. He loves people. He's a good guy.
I'm yet to meet anybody that's spent time with him denounce him. Not one person. Once someone's met Tommy and they give him a fair crack of the whip to explain why he says and believes the things that he does, they all see the world from his eyes and they know that they've been fed lies. And they end up quite frustrated.
Oh, God, yeah. And the thing is, obviously, there's the demonstration coming up. He's going to be sentenced. It's unfortunate because I'd like to spend more time chatting with him because he actually knows a lot about a very broad range of subjects, and it's all self-taught. He didn't have the benefit of private school. I was sent to private school. He didn't have the benefit of all that, but he knows a lot about a lot of different subjects, and his subjects of interest, he's got depth on them, and he doesn't get the opportunity to talk about them because he's seen through this very, very rigid paradigm, which means he then has to respond through the rigid paradigm with which he's being hit. And it's a real shame, and it's a real injustice. It's a real injustice what's happening at the moment inside of the UK.
If he gets sent to jail, will you feel affected knowing that he's going to be in a cell?
Very affected. I fucking did a whole hour's therapy session on it yesterday. I'm fucking worried sick. I've met his kids. You know, I was listening to a voice note from his mum. Yeah, I mean, it's very tough. I'm very, very worried. I'm very worried for him. I wish there was more I could do for him, but yeah, it makes me sad for him. It makes me sad for his family, and it makes me sad for this country. What a fucking shame, and And what I mean that in every sense. The world should be looking at us now and just thinking, what a fucking disgrace. What a disgrace. For what? For a documentary. It's insane.
And where can you see the country heading?
There's two routes. We stay on the path we're on now. The path we're on now and the path that we've been on is gulags and genocide. And it will be the people who are the ones who are saying they're not racist and they hate racism, they're going to induce the most amount of racial tension and racism. And it will be gulags and genocide. It's going to get really, really rough. The other route is there's some kind of revolution or revival, and we go back to sanity. I don't even think it's a left-wing versus right-wing thing now. I get asked more and more to speak on right-wing podcasts, but that's because most left-wing podcasts are ideologically infected lunatics who can't stop fucking shrieking. I am a classical liberal, which means I am just left of centre. I'm a leftist, but I'm not insane. And I'm robust, I'm resilient. So you can say words to me and I'm like, oh my God, you said a fucking word. It's not left versus right anymore. It's fantasy, narcissistic delusion. The woke is a narcissistic death cult. And that's the gulags and genocide route. With all their kindness and all their empathy, they will lead us to massive violence. On the right, which is not really the right, it's just based in reality. That's a fantasy. And then there's people who are living in reality. People who live in reality, they're not afraid, they're courageous, people are people. You don't want to divide people up based on their fucking skin color because, Jesus Christ, it's 2024. And we can get away from all this fantasy-based death cult stuff and back to normality. And normality is now what it's always been. Most of us are here due to heterosexual union between two consenting adults, and we have been for a long time. And me saying that isn't homophobic or transphobic. It's factual. It's factual. We should get back to prioritizing what is good for the future health and wealth of the country and not prioritizing stuff that isn't. That doesn't mean what I didn't just say is go and kick a trans person or attack people who are not hetero. That's not what I'm saying. We should come back to reality. We should come back to health and thriving and building a country that's meaningful based on good, core, clear, simple values, which is what we've always done throughout history. We're just in this period of fucking mass psychosis right now.
I wonder what that wave of woke lunatics will think about you confirming that you're left of centre, but you're also supporting Tommy Robinson's movement.
Oh, I can tell you what they think. I'm a covert Nazi. I've seen a meme made. When I said I was a classic liberal, there was this, somebody posted a meme underneath it because I said it on a podcast I used to run a couple of years ago. And it was like, there was a guy holding a mask and he pulled the mask up and the mask said classical liberal and underneath neo-Nazi. Like, do you know who the Nazis are, you fucking idiots? The National Socialists of Germany. Which of my beliefs are you comparing to? Genocidal, sadistic, race-obsessed, black magic practicing lunatics. Who invented meth, by the way, for fuck's sake. These were like, come on, it's so, that's why I don't care now. That's why, call me racist, call me a Nazi, call me a white supremacist. It doesn't mean anything. And whose fault is it that it doesn't mean anything? Your fault. You've made this meaningless. In fact, now, if somebody says, oh, he's a right-wing racist, I'll be like, better listen to what he has to say. Because that means you've pissed off the woke. So they're just tarring you with this brush. And what you'll usually find is somebody like me, who's left on some issues, right on some issues, a classic liberal on other issues, and who just isn't insane.
It'll be interesting to pick up this conversation in a year's time to see what's happened.
We can do it in the gulag. You'll be in the cell next to me.
Yeah. Trying to nick your bread.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to spiral this off down a political track. I don't want it to detract from your story. Yeah. Which is going to be of interest to people that have followed you for many years. But it's certainly a good spot to put a pin in and see where we are in a year's time.
100%. And
we can get back together again and just see where we're at, because I also dread what's going to happen down the line.
Yeah.
I'm And I'm an optimist by default, but from what I've seen since Keir Starmer has taken the lead of the country, it's worrying. And I believe he has behaved like a psychopath.
Yeah.
And I could compound on that and give context, but I'm not going to. Okay. We will revisit in a year's time. But for you, what does the future hold for you as a person?
Authenticity in all things, because that which is not for you, if you take it through deception, you won't be able to keep that. The stuff that's for you, and if you're authentic, your vibration is authentic, you're being real, what's for you will come to you. Everything else you won't get to keep.
Anything else you want to say before we call it a day?
Look after your body, look after your mind, choose to be happy. Choose to be happy.
It's been a joy.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, brother.
Cheers.